Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
Bang, bang.
And we are back in Good Taste Studios. And honestly, if you have good taste, you're going to want to find that subscribe button, slap it around a few times, and then go ahead and hit the like button and maybe find us in the comment section, Lenny. What do you think?
Please do, guys.
It'd be interesting. I'm waiting to get into one of these YouTube comment wars.
Yeah, we just want to get into a tiff. We want to get into a beef. What's hot in the streets, bitches?
Come see me in the chat, y'all. I think we're going to change that now.
Yeah,
Come see me in the chat.
Yeah, come see us in the fucking chat.
But big news, Len.
What's up?
I think you're going to be going to the movies?
There's a chance. I have bought tickets before and not gone. But I think there is a 90% chance that I am going to the movies this week, Matt. And, it is for my maybe favorite movie of all time, so I'm pretty excited.
What movie's that?
Die Hard. Best
okay.
Christmas movie that's
we
ever
have
been made.
We haven't done a top 5 favorite movies of all time yet.
And I don't even know if I ever want to, because I say that's there, but I'd get
it
too
probably
crazy.
doesn't even crack your top 5.
No, I'd get too crazy about the list. I'd get like, no, but I have 5 over here, 5 over there. I can narrow that down. It's too much.
So walk me through the process. Was it a little bit difficult to get through the process of buying the ticket?
No, I just there was actually nobody else going to this movie. It was an empty theater, which from sanitary purposes is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you won't have to worry about it. I mean, the downside is still no concessions, huh?
I'll find out. I'm going in with open eyes, with arms wide open.
Fingers and toes crossed, if that's possible?
I can't cross my toes. Not a lot of dexterity
That
there.
takes a lot of talent.
I'll work on it. But yeah, so I'm going to see Die Hard. If there was going to be a movie that really got me out, it is truly one of my favorite movies ever, and I've never seen it in the movie theaters. Obviously, I was too young when it came out. Maybe not even born. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
It's like teeters on the date a little bit there.
80s, early 80s?
Yeah, well, no, it's not early 80s, Matt. It's late 80s.
Okay.
But I think I was not born yet.
Okay.
So it's going to be exciting. I'm seeing it with one of our friends who's never seen it before, too. So that's kind of cool as well. So I'm looking forward to that aspect. It's always good to pop somebody's cherry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good experience. And then, getting that feeling back, I'm getting to see a movie that I haven't seen in the movie theater before. Is there anything specifically that you're looking forward to about seeing Die Hard in the theater?
The whole thing, man.
The whole thing.
I mean, that's Bruce Willis at his best. And,
I thought you were going to hit me with the first Yippee-Ki-Yay, motherfucker.
No, because there's even more than that I'm nostalgic about.
Okay.
Like, dude, I don't know, the limo driver, he's cool, dude.
Yeah, there's a ton to be excited about.
The fucking when he ho 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 Merry fucking Christmas, now I have a machine gun or whatever. Like that part's pretty awesome. Yeah, man, I'm stoked.
There's a
I'm
ton to
pretty
look forward
excited.
to.
I'm confident I'm going this time.
I hope that you do go so that I can live vicariously through you. I will have to try and find Die Hard on one of my streaming services, one of the many that I have available to me.
You can probably just find it on my streaming service that I provide you with.
No,
allegedly.
we don't share streaming services.
No, I said allegedly. I said allegedly.
Okay.
We're good.
Quid pro quo.
But I also need to go because with all this news coming out, man, it's probably important that I keep single-handedly the movie industry alive.
Well, they're gonna have to keep concessions in stock in order for that to happen for you, buddy. But
yeah,
a lot of big news that's going to be detrimental to the theater industry.
That's huge. That's a huge point. Without concessions, I don't know how they make it through this.
This is going to be a tough time for them.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of overhead you can't make back.
To say the least, one of the
What
biggest...
about all the popcorn kernels? How much does that cost?
Where's the popcorn coming from? There's got to be a supply and a demand in there, right? Like whoever's supplying the popcorn, there's got to be some money lost there, right?
Do you
we
think
got to get this stuff sold.
Does AMC movie theaters just own corn crops somewhere in the United States? Because if they don't, that's probably an easy way to cut out some cost here.
Yeah, but if they did, that would mean that 99% of the cost is already profit. So that's why they're trying. I would imagine if it was coming to them at retail price, they wouldn't have to charge us $20 per ticket most of the time.
This is just a hot take. The movie industry should get into the corn.
If you haven't figured it out, this is your new line of business that you need to line it up to try and cut some of those costs and maybe make some money.
Soda is corn syrup.
Yeah.
Right? Popcorn is corn kernels. There's a whole lot of overlap with the corn industry.
Film reels.
I'm sure that's made of corn.
Yeah. Or electronics, one or the other. It's for sure something that's you're able to cut the cost on, because
we've missed the point big time on this topic, huh?
Well, no, the reason why we're really focusing on cutting costs and making money this year is because WB, also known as Warner Brothers Studios,
Warner Brother, right?
let us know
Shit.
what is going on right now. They hit us with some hot goss, Lenny. They are essentially sending all of their movies and series directly to HBO Max. How does that make you feel as a theater goer?
I guess the writing was on the wall a little bit ahead of time on this. I'm not thrilled about it, but at the same time, it's like the option's still there as of right now. I mean, it's kind of scary as a moviegoer to think that a majority of them aren't going to make it out. And so around us, and you obviously don't live too close to here, but you've been to a couple movies up this way. There's 2 movie theaters that like we mainly choose from up here, right? It's AMC and it's Showcase.
Yep.
I've always been partial to AMC. They were the first movie theater to let me butter my own popcorn. They were the first theater to have reclinable seats.
For those of you who couldn't see that, there was a glimmer in your eye there for a second when you
That's
said they
nostalgia,
let me butter
dude.
my own popcorn.
Oh, dude, like being like 10 years old and just going ham on that butter machine, dude.
Felt like I was
licking
lived that with you.
Licking them fingers for fucking months, dude.
Yeah, there won't be any of that this week.
No. And I guess that's where they don't want you to do that. So between that, the reclinable seats, I loved AMC, and I don't know, the Showcase cinema, I just never really liked like the environment so much there. It wasn't enjoyable to see a movie.
Feels like
as much.
they're cutting the bare minimum to call themselves a movie theater. So
I don't think that's Showcase. I think you're being rude, dude. They have a bar. I think if anything, they're too over the top for me. Okay. But they have really nice screens and all of that. They're nice theaters. I just have always preferred AMC. It's a little more intimate, I guess, is a good way to put it.
I've got a beef with their pricing, I guess. Is the
sure, I mean that's
issue
fair.
with me.
Movies in general overrated,
or
overpriced rather. But yeah, like I think what's going to happen is one or the other is going to like live out of this. Like they can't both coexist. When probably I'd have to imagine like 70% of people are going to opt to take the movie at home option over the movie in the theater option.
Yeah, the direct to home or direct to video business motto now. I mean, I just recently saw Mulan come up on Disney Plus, and it's no longer Premier Access only.
Oh, so you can watch it.
Jackpot.
You're gonna watch it?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
I was really excited, but it kind of just showed me that we're really just in a sense where that straight to streaming option is probably going to play, to your point, about 70 to 80% of people.
I wonder what the actual number is, because that would definitely interest me. There's still going to be diehards that go, but they're going to have to do something different with movie theaters to really like draw people out at this point. They're still going to, but at the same time, I think one of the cool things they're doing now is like renting your own theater.
Sure.
From like $100 and up, you can rent your own theater and you can have up to 20 people. That's an interesting idea. If the right movie comes out, I definitely would do that.
Yeah, bringing back old movies, bringing back classics that maybe some of us didn't get to see in the theater, like a Die Hard.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's a great option.
And it's the perfect time of year to like dust off something like that. But you look and it's like
Lenny is on record for saying that Die Hard is a Christmas movie
and a classic.
Yes,
Christmas
just letting everybody know.
It is scary though when you look and like nobody else was going to see that movie. I mean, and I only bought it 2 days ahead of time. Like before, there would at least be 1 or 2 people going to see something at that point.
Do you think it's advertised as much as it should be?
No, but they probably don't have the money to go into advertisement like at this point, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
Nobody else is going.
Yeah.
But the list of movies that's coming out in the next year that are now just going to be available with a subscription. That's what I mean. I don't know how much HBO Max is, honestly. I get it with my cell phone plan.
$12.99 or $14.99 a month.
That's less than 1 movie ticket.
Yeah. It's not a bad price, and they have quite a lot of content on there. I mean, when you talk about Warner Brothers, they've put all of their DC universe.
That app
stuff on
that app recently closed, so now you have like Titans and things that I believe are now on HBO Max.
You can watch all of that on HBO Max, and someone
Doomsday Patrol or something.
Yes, they're on there. I haven't watched it. I could make a list of 20 things right now that I'd like to watch between all my streaming options, and I just haven't gotten to.
So now that is a big topic here, is like it's a flooded market already in a way too, as far as movies are concerned. But these movies that are going to be coming out aren't anything to like sneeze at, right? Like is that the saying? Probably.
I wouldn't say it is, but if you want to sneeze at something, that's fine.
Just go ahead and scoff at it.
Sure, it's definitely nothing to scoff at. Sure.
No, it's something to sneeze at, dude. Don't get allergic.
We can go with that.
The list is huge. Like the list of movies coming up in the next year is pretty big, and I think it's 25 total that they said that are releasing
over 2021.
The big one, like so you have like movies the likes of I know on the list it was Mortal Kombat is going to be one of them, right?
I have it here. Mortal Kombat, The Little Things.
I mean, Tom and Jerry. Who fucking cares?
I
right?
care. Godzilla versus Kong.
The Conjuring. So Godzilla versus Kong, we got our first release of a little bit of like footage. This week.
Yeah, I mean, it only took 3 seconds to get me excited. I don't know about you.
Yeah, Kong still looks like he's an angry fuck, so I'm into it. Space Jam, that's a big one. Suicide Squad, Dune. And the common theme here, dude, like the Matrix 4, like that's a bummer, crazy. Right? Like that's a bummer. Like the Matrix, they've waited 11 years or whatever it is to make another one, and it's going to HBO Max. But
this time next year.
The big thing, Matt, looking at this is like the common thing here. These movies are all expensive, man. Yeah. Like these aren't dramas. These aren't comedies that are being released, right? Like every one of these movies is major motion picture releases.
I mean, Godzilla versus Kong, I can imagine what the budget is on that movie.
Yeah, for the CGI alone, you know? So you look now and you say, how can these movies, on top of the fact that the theaters are going to lose money, how are the movies themselves? How is Warner Brothers, what is HBO Max paying? Because for them to make or recoup these losses, like the money that they're not going to make going to the theater.
That's a cut rate deal for sure.
There's dude. Okay, so if we at the total of all those movies being made, right? Because you have to assume Kong, right? That movie's probably $150 million to make
at least.
So then, if you say every other movie on there is a little bit less, but it's ranging from $50 million to $150 million,
you're talking about $3 billion.
The deal for them to make money, it would have to be a deal that's like a couple billion dollars, and I can't imagine a world where HBO is getting that.
Well, but this is the world that we're kind of looking at, is the world that we're living in now. If you look at some of the names, I mean, look at the little things. You've got Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, Jared Leto.
That's one movie.
Yeah. You got to pay each of those guys. Where's that money going to come from? We got to dive a little bit deeper into someone who's been really kind of an advocate against this and kind of saying that it was a bad business model, Christopher Nolan.
And the more you think about what he said, and I know we have some quotes here, like this is what he's talking about, like the list of that movies. I don't know if we have the quote here, but he at some point calls it a loss leader, right? Yeah. And a loss leader is right, like being willing to take a loss on something to gain. Get the person into your, like if you're running a store, you give something away for free to get people into the store with the idea you can sell them other things, right? Yeah. So he in essence calls this deal a loss leader because it's like, hey, there's no way that my movie goes to your streaming service and makes its money back. So I can't, like, you can't grow your stature as a movie maker. Like Nolan is Nolan, not just because he makes unique and great movies. He's Nolan because his movies make a tremendous amount of money as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you get the next great director? How do you find a Spielberg or somebody like that if your movies can't make money?
No, now you're putting a real limit to what a director is able to put together for some of these big films. I mean, if you look at Christopher Nolan, he's there's a quote in there. I want to say it's the
like before we get into it, let's just let's rattle off his quotes.
So he's in an interview with the USA Today. The decision they made from a business point of view is fundamentally irrational.
Straight body blows right off the bat, dude. Monkey punches. I'm
gonna hit you with a straight right. And this is the interesting one. So some of our industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed the night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out they were working for the worst streaming service.
Now, he never really goes into context as to why HBO is the worst streaming service. But and I think that's a huge claim. Yes. And like that guy's word holds some weight. And that's where I would just be like, if you're going to make a statement like that, well, let's unpack it. Like, tell me why you feel that way, right?
It's a big name making a very big statement. And to your point, when you want to talk about WB's studios alone, if you're talking about Batman, Christopher Nolan's the guy. Mm-hmm. And for him to make a claim like that, he's kind of already taking your 1 foot in front of you backwards because you're not getting the support of a big director. I'd be interested to see, there's one quote in here that sticks out to me. And we talked a little bit about how the movie industry is going to survive in a cinema or theater perspective. The question isn't whether theatrical exhibition will survive. The question is which studio will survive. With this decision, WB's hand is kind of played.
Well, but I think they're trying to guarantee their survival, right? Because they're hoping that companies will keep paying them to keep producing these movies. But the problem I listen to the Joe Budden podcast a lot, right? And he recently brought up, because he went through his issue with Spotify, and it's pretty well publicized that he had a falling out with them because he looked at what Spotify was paying other people versus what they were willing to pay him. Recently announcing a Joe Rogan deal, which like he's going to be the biggest guy ever, but you also have the Ringer got paid like a shit ton of money to bring over all of their content, right? The point he brings up though is like he's looking at Netflix and then he looks at Spotify, and it's like when you don't actually own any of the material that you're putting out, how long can you stay like substantive? Like
how
right?
long
can like
you sustain?
Because at some point the total, like Netflix is in debt. Like Netflix doesn't make money. Netflix is in debt, and basically everything they do is spending more money to get themselves to keep getting the stock, because they basically need the stock to stay up, because then people are going to keep paying for them to be a thing, essentially.
Which is kind of strange, right? Like you can be at this point what they would say, I think hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, but your stock can be higher than it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I that's what, when you're a publicly traded thing, right? It's just, what are you worth? But it's like once you stop being worth that, you're going to go down pretty quickly. And it's the same thing he looks at with Spotify, where it's like, if you don't own any of your music and you have to keep paying, and like you've reached a certain plateau with subscribers, now you have to go out and find people to bring more in. So you go and find Rogan, but in turn, for 2 years of Rogan, you pay this man $200 million. Yeah. That's, now you're behind the 8 ball and you're trying to recoup it. And it's like, at what point do you get enough subscribers to justify it? And that's what goes back to that loss leader statement here, is like, if HBO has to keep paying out for all these platforms, and that means now Warner Brothers has to rely on them to exist, at what point do both of them cease to exist?
Yeah,
HBO, I don't think is going anywhere, by the way, because they've also shown that if you were going to pick somebody, this is where I don't understand the worst streaming service. If I had to pick one to assume could keep existing, you see where Disney and NBC have fucked up Netflix. They fucked up Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, because they just pulled all their stuff, because it's like, Disney, I own the world. I'll just put all my own stuff and make all my own money, right? Because we own it.
Why am I paying the middleman?
Yeah, exactly. We own it. We'll put our own product. Like we talked about Netflix last week with the Marvel stuff and how it's free now. Well, like that's what Disney's going to do. The Office getting pulled off of Netflix. How many people, a ton of people are going to switch just on that one show alone to Peacock.
Can I tell you how many times I've just put the Office on to go to sleep?
It's dude, I've never seen a show, truthfully, that is so universally, it's adored. I don't even know if it's loved or adored. I think it's just that it fits a need so well, man. It's the perfect show. Like, I don't think there's ever been a better show to have on in the background when you're like doing something or trying to fall asleep, or if you're just trying to like hang out with friends and you just want some audio on the background.
If you just need a pick-me-up.
Like if shit gets quiet for a second and you're with your friends, you like something happens on the show and you all laugh about it. Like, it's just like the perfect show.
Absolutely.
But either way, like when you don't own your content, that means people can just fucking take it from you, right?
Yeah, and you're at the leisure of whoever owns the content.
I think HBO has enough stuff like Game of Thrones and things that they pretty much own, that they can.
Well, I'll tell you what, HBO moved away from boxing. I mean, they've been able to trim some of the fat in their product, and I'd be more interested to see as 2021 progresses. I mean, I was already an HBO Max subscriber before all this happened. Where's all that extra money coming from? Are they able to get the extra subscribers that they need?
We'll see. I think the first lever to drop here, and we'll get into this movie here, is what happens with Wonder Woman, right? Because if Wonder Woman, they suddenly see, what if, how many people are going to see Wonder Woman? I don't know. I know what box office typically does, right? It's going to be like half $500 million that it does in box office. How many people is that? Because at that point, are we going to get, 1 million more subscribers? Because then I think it justifies it for HBO.
Right.
But if those million subscribers only stay for 1 month,
they binge everything and they get the hell out of there.
What's the point? Like because there's not ton from a TV show perspective that I think they have great shows. Don't get me wrong.
Well,
but they're not bingeable
HBO
shows.
Max, I would stretch to say, isn't just HBO content now.
No, it isn't.
So now they have access to. I mean, I can watch Family Guy, I can watch South Park on there if I want to.
But so the thing with these shows, Matt, is they're not really bingeable shows. To me, like Fresh Prince, South Park, Family Guy, Big Bang Theory. Like those are 4 really big ones that would draw somebody to those. Those aren't shows that I think you watch for continuous storyline. So they're good shows that every once in a while I pop on there and I watch something, and I'll watch 3 or 4 of them. But it's not something I'm going to come back the next day, like appointment viewing, to go see the next one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that's the issue, is that unless you're looking at their actual content, like you haven't seen Game of Thrones before and you want to like sit through
Westworld,
you know, like, and maybe that's one that'll get you there. But I just don't know if you are way bigger into Game of Thrones than me. Do you think it has a lot of rewatchability that would draw you back to HBO Max outside of this deal with Warner Brothers?
No, I think if you were someone that were to binge it directly from start to finish right now, you'd be a little bit disappointed at the end, where maybe you come back to watch it in a year, 2 years, but it's not something that you're constantly needing to come back to watch.
Yeah.
And I've watched a little bit of Westworld as well. HBO does a great job of making good quality show. It's almost like cinema-like series.
Expensive too.
That's exactly what you're going to get to. Very expensive, and the wow factor maybe lasts that one watch, that first watch, and then maybe you come back around because you want to understand the plot a little bit more, get some questions answered.
I think you would really have to love the characters to rewatch Game of Thrones, just from my perspective, where I was like, I like it, but I'm not like a diehard fan of it or anything, right? I just it's a show that is a lot. It's so dense, and like episodes are so heavy. It's a show that I think you'd hop into certain seasons and be like, hey, I really like season 6 because of this happening, and I'm gonna watch that season.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. And
versus watch it from episode 1 to like.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're really invested in the characters, and I think
the Battle of the Bastards, like those types of episodes that you can just like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the type of thing I think that you do with Game of Thrones, where you watch it more like a movie, where it's like, hey, there's this 2-hour like arc that I really like in Game of Thrones that I want to go and fucking rewatch that. You know,
I think it starts, like you said, with HBO Max. It starts with Wonderwoman, because now do you make your statement as being the go-to place? Disney has Marvel. Does HBO Max and HBO stake their claim as, hey, we're the go-to for everything else for superhero?
If you're gonna do that, at what point do you start tying in DC TV shows though? Because that's the thing here, is like you have all the characters and you have all this stuff, but Marvel's now going to adapt better to this new layout a little bit in a way. I don't think, for one, I don't know if Marvel hasn't said they're going to release their movies either. Like Black Widow's been in a real big waiting.
It's been in a hold
right now. But you do know that their TV shows are going to come out, and that their TV shows are going to tie into the bigger picture. So there's going to be a level of excitement that is going to draw you back to Disney for that. At what point does DC start saying like, hey, we have, Chris Pine. Maybe we can do something with his character and have a spin-off like mini series, or you have big enough names that you can introduce that maybe you can do smaller scale things.
Yeah, they've done it in their movies. When you look at introducing Aquaman before the Aquaman movie was really out, you can do a lot of that stuff where it all kind of ties in together. Mm-hmm. It'll get interesting, and it really does start, to your point, with Wonder Woman 1984 coming out on Christmas. Do you think you're going to hit theaters around that time to see that?
This is one that I'm on the fence about. I want to say yes, but once you have the option to sit and watch it at your house, we'll see what happens. Because I'm not going to do anything on Christmas probably, so it's not a bad thing to just know that you have that in your back pocket to throw that on.
What have you seen as far as like reviews and stuff like that?
So we've gotten our first weekend of I think the first group of people kind of saw it this past weekend, and everything has been glowing.
Yeah, the articles that I saw, the group of movie critics that got to see it, everything was, I think the quote is overwhelmingly positive.
Ooh, that's
yeah. I just felt like I needed to say that.
That would be glowing. Yeah.
Glowing is such a. I should have stuck with that. That's a much better way to put it.
No, I think I like both. We were on the spot.
Overwhelmingly
Johnny on the spot.
Awesome.
So yeah, a lot of good things right now, man. Like it's pretty. I think we both said a few weeks ago that we were optimistic about this
absolutely.
one, though. Gal Gadot is fantastic. All indications are with this that she's once again like
Outdone
the
herself.
bee's knees.
Yeah. Killing it today, Len.
Mm-hmm.
Some people saying that it might be better than the first one. Up for debate.
We'll see. That's a tough feat. And I'm not saying just specifically to that movie. It's just how often is the sequel better than the original.
The one thing that stood out to me, we talked about Chris Pine's return and if it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled a quote that's from Mike Rougeau from GameSpot. Simply put, Chris Pine's return is done well and makes sense.
It's good to hear. The makes sense is the tough one, right?
Yeah.
Like that's another thing we talked about is like, how do you bring a man back from the dead? So let's see with that. Maybe she's living in a fantasy world, right? One of the ones that I found interesting that was from this lady, Megan Damore. I think it was like CBR is her site. And she just said it's definitely a top 3 movie, and it's up there with Wonderwoman and Birds of Prey.
Yeah, I did see that.
So yeah, go ahead.
No. What I was going to say is it's interesting if you look Patty Jenkins.
Yeah,
killing it.
Well, and it's not just that to me, man. It's like, what's the common theme between those 3 movies to me? They're all female-led, female-driven franchises,
powerful women
that are standing out in DC as like their best claim to fame, and that's a really big thing to me. Like, it says a lot about where they're at right now. That you have these franchises like Aquaman and Shazam, that were decent enough movies. They were okay.
And you had a good cast for them.
Yeah,
but it's safe to say. I mean, I've heard you speak of Birds of Prey and how much you enjoyed that movie.
It's probably my favorite DC movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad I got you on record saying it because I've heard you say it a couple times. If this one is as good as they say, it's no secret that they've kind of got a formula right now that seems to be working for them.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Of course, at that point,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and Wonder Woman 3 is going to be coming, right? And Patty Jenkins, hopefully she's sticking around for all this stuff too.
I don't see Patty taking a trip anywhere else right now. She's doing way too much, way too fast, and it's working out really well for her in those movies. I'm excited, man. I think there's a lot to look forward to. I do think that I am going to find myself catching those movies at home a lot sooner than I do myself catching it in the movie theater. All right, buddy. Well, let's wrap this up with a look back into a movie that you'd given us a quick preview into last week. You had a chance to check out Ava.
I did.
And I did not.
You did not?
You want to clue us into your experience and what you thought?
First and foremost, I think that movie's number 3 on like Netflix right now. For like saying watch this shit. So
is it?
I got out ahead of it for y'all. Most of you probably still haven't watched it, and I will quickly tell you whether you should or not. Probably not.
Okay, thanks. The suspense did not last long.
No, listen, there's good and there's bad to it. Like Jessica Chastain, I like her a lot as an actor. She's fine in her performance here. Common is okay. The 2 that stand out the most as far as acting performances, but I think the script is just not very good for this. Is John Malkovich and Colin Farrell are really good in it. But it's a movie that's kind of in the vein of John Wick in a way.
Okay.
You've seen like the children of John Wick in the past few years, right? You've gotten like Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron.
Yep.
Another movie that starts with an A and ends with an A, Anna, came out last year, which was very good.
Yep.
And then you have Ava, right? The problem with this compared to those movies is what makes John Wick so good is obviously Keanu Reeves and like the storyline, but
he's awesome.
But the action is done in a way that you know it's Keanu Reeves doing everything, right? Like you get close-ups on his face while things happening. Like you're able to shoot from far away and show how real everything looks because he is actually the guy
doing everything. Yeah.
There's a lot of movies that have come out since then that try to do the same thing. We're going to let the ambulance pass for a second there. So there's a lot of movies that kind of try and do the same thing. But the issue is that the lead actor can't do the physical stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, one of the biggest gripes I have with this movie is a majority of the action from Jessica Chastain.
You know, it's not her.
It's just not believable. You don't see her face a lot of the time. Her hair is like conveniently in front of her face a ton. When you do know it's her.
She's doing a lot of flips.
Yeah, like when you do know it's her, it's like the punches and kicks look slow and telegraphed. this is crazy. So like I was taken out of the movie in the first like 3 or 4 minutes by one thing in particular. And I'm going to trash this movie, it sounds like. So I want to say before I continue to trash this movie.
You did it again, Netflix.
Just give it a fair shot. I don't think that I want to know if I'm wrong. So like if somebody wants to go out there and watch it, maybe I am wrong. But to me, I was tuned out of this movie in about the first 4 or 5 minutes because there's a scene where she's running, Matt. She's like hitting an early morning jog and she's supposed to be like an assassin. And her form was so poor on her run that I know you don't fucking run. Like you're not coordinated enough.
If I can't believe that you can't run well, I'm supposed to believe that you're an assassin?
Well, isn't that stupid? But it's true. Like if you're not coordinated enough to run like a normal person, then I don't really trust that you can do the rest of it. And it just, everything comes off the physically kind of awkward. And then at times the script's not great. So then it makes the interactions between the characters like stiff. And basically what this movie comes down to me, is maybe it's COVID, maybe it's whatever. There's a lot of actors that do this. They get to a certain point where they have great movies, but every once in a while they want to do something that's easy.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like she's doing something easy. Common, I've seen do great roles in movies. Seems like he's doing something easy. John Malkovich, he's probably doing something easy. He's just so naturally gifted that he's fucking good at it.
I'm never going to complain with John Malkovich in anything.
But this movie, in a way, reminds me of this movie that I saw back in like 2005, Matt.
Okay.
I saw this movie in 2005 and I bought this movie, right? And the only reason I bought it was because of who was on the cover. And I was excited about this movie.
Tell me who's on the cover and let me guess it.
So I'll get there. No, I'm not going to, because you already know what I'm going to say. So I'm not going to let you have this.
No, why not?
Because you wouldn't have noted if I didn't tell you already. I'm not doing that. You already know the answer. I'm not letting you have a freebie. So what drew me to this movie initially was I saw the trailer. And I was skeptical because of some of the physical things I could already tell in the trailer. But the cast was so good, right? Jessica Chastain has this movie, Molly, that probably a lot of people haven't seen that I really liked. So I was like, I'm intrigued by her. Common had this movie with, it's a one-word name movie. Can you just look up Common's movie? Because this is a movie nobody's seen that if I was going to make a recommendation for an actual good movie to watch, it's this one. But either way, like I've seen them all do good roles. So there was this movie that came out and that doesn't make sense. Common movies. Yeah, that's kind of. So the movie that came out in 2005, when I looked at the cover had Morgan Freeman, LL Cool J, Justin Timberlake, and Kevin Spacey. R.I.P. to your career. But those 4 actors, I see them on there and I'm like, dude, like this movie's got to be fucking good.
When I saw the cover art, I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, this is some shit.
Give
like
some old school JT.
Yeah, so that's actually Justin Timberlake's, I think, first movie. But it's not good. It's not good. Yeah. It's just like it's a movie that all those guys could have done a million other things, but they wanted to make a bad movie. Maybe they saw that like it's Nina, all about Nina. That movie's fucking great. Boom. Matt, you would probably really like it too because it's about stand-up comedy. She's a stand-up comedian in it.
I think that's on HBO Max.
Is it? All About Nina, it's a money movie. It's allegedly on my streaming thing as well.
The one that we don't share,
yes.
Allegedly.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So anywho, yeah, this is just another one of those things where you get a few good actors together, throw them on the picture, and you sell a movie based on it. And Netflix is going to work great for that because first of all, your standards are shit, Netflix. Second of all, you sell a thumbnail, and that thumbnail is good.
That's what they've been making a living off of thumbnails. I mean, look at the movies.
So hasn't Logan Paul.
Oh, how dare you? Don't do that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that we've talked a lot about straight to streaming. It's going to be the future. We've kind of figured that out already.
It's not even the future.
It's here.
It's fucking here.
But you know what else is the future, Lenny?
Next week.
Next week is the future.
Yeah.
We're going to be right back here.
In these chairs.
Same
bat time, same bat studio.
Ooh, damn it, you beat me to it. I was going to say it.
Yep.
But there's some work that needs to be done here.
By who?
Anybody out there who's listening, whether it be audio, maybe it's video.
Maybe you're reading us via Braille.
You could be doing any of those 3 things. But the one thing that you should be doing is hitting subscribe on this channel or the podcast channel in the app. Subscribe. Hit comment. Hit us in the likes.
It's bad. It's bad when we don't even sound confident. It's like, me? Yeah, no.
I just don't know if you would call it a
podcast
podcast channel.
You should hit subscribe.
It's in the library.
Yeah, just check it out. There's a button. It starts with an S, it ends with an E, and has a bunch of letters in the middle. Tap that fucking button.
Tap it.
There's a bell somewhere on YouTube.
Tap
Thanks for checking us out there.
Tap, tap, tap.
We're ugly if you made it through this whole video.
And
Props
if
to you.
you've had a chance to watch Ava and you disagree with Lenny's take and review, let us know in the comments. Hit us in the chat. And also let us know if there's anything that you're looking forward to. Series, show, movie.
Your favorite movie run.
Anything. Let us know.
And it can't be Tom Cruise because that's too easy.
Tom Cruise is still running, so you can't use him.
The best fucking runner.
He doesn't stop running. Thanks, Scientology. But that's all we've got. We're out of here. Take it easy, guys.
Peace out. Later.
Totes.
My goats.